Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Another episode of Nothing's Off the Table. I have a lovely young lady. Her name is Sydney McAllister, aka Sober Sid. Another woman who I found on TikTok. My For You page on TikTok has just become people who are talking about their alcoholism or their addiction. And it's been a very nice pipeline for me to find people to come on the podcast because it is a thing now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like a hidden stigma anymore. It's like people are open about it, talking about it. And I love it.
I love it.
I love it. I think it's good. We're all like, especially you, you're putting out a positive message,
yes.
You know, and you're talking about what it was like and you're talking about how great life is now. And I think that's super important for people out there who are still struggling and come across your page and see that. And they're like, okay, like this girl is talking about how good her life has gotten. Maybe I should go to an AA meeting. Maybe I should try this or try that. And I really appreciate you coming down from Boston.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Are you a Red Sox fan?
No, I'm from New York.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I know. I'm just a transplant.
Okay. Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
You.
I appreciate it. Really excited to hear your story. I know nothing about Sober Sid.
Yep.
Tell me about where you're from, what your childhood was like, and we'll get into the fun stuff later.
Yeah. So I am from, like I said, New York, Albany, New York. So I grew up just a couple hours north, and I grew up in an alcoholic family, I would say. I wasn't super exposed to it as a child. My dad is in recovery. He's had multiple attempts, but as of right now, he's been sober for a little bit over 10 years. But as a kid, I knew that my dad was an alcoholic. My parents divorced when I was 3 or 4 years old. So he wasn't actively living in my home during a lot of the time he was drinking. And his dad was an alcoholic and his sister was an alcoholic. And I'm sure it goes further down the lineage than that. And I was always dead set on not being an alcoholic. That was my biggest fear in life. So I knew what it was. I just didn't know the behavior. So I didn't know as time went on what I was doing was like, as you'll hear, just classic alcoholic behavior. I just thought it was me liking to drink more than the typical person. So I have an older sister who's 37 and a half sister who is 23. So 10 years younger than me. My mom provided a really loving home for us. She did, again, make me aware that alcoholism was in the family for my entire childhood life, basically, because I was obsessive. Like I latched onto things that like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. Like Eminem. I was a 10-year-old rapping Eminem in my bedroom with photos of him all over my wall. Like I didn't just like things, I loved things. And I went to the extreme. Boy crazy, just always obsessing over the next thing. And that freaked my mom out. So I was always being told, Sydney, you have to be careful, like maybe ease up on how much you love things so much. And that stuck with me. And I was like, okay, well, like leave me alone. So I was always fearful of alcohol in general. My mom would have friends over and I would take her wine glass and pour it down the drain because I didn't want anyone becoming an alcoholic. I just wanted it to stay with my dad and everyone else was in the clear. And unfortunately, obviously that didn't happen, but I started drinking at 13 years old. And that was, I hear that age all the time. I'm an AA and that just seems to be the age. My sister is 4 years older than me. I went to a middle school and high school. So everyone was around each other. You weren't segregated by grade. So I was friends with high schoolers and I started going to parties with my sister who was a senior. So whenever she'd watch me, she'd bring me to parties with her. And I had my first beer at 13 and I hear a lot of people just being like, oh, I had this wave of euphoria come over me. And I don't honestly remember how it made me feel. I think it was a really interesting time in my life, age 13, because I also developed an eating disorder. So at this point in my life, I was just so uncomfortable with myself. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like how I looked. I was very self-conscious. I just wanted to be anyone other than me. So having that beer and being at this party and being able to be a little bit more loose and not really care what people think about me, not really not having those insecurities. I'm numbing my mind. I'm blocking out all the noise. I loved that feeling. So that was something that stuck with me, and it will make sense 10 years later after my first drink, when my alcoholism kind of really hit the ground running. But I engaged in my eating disorder, and that was really where I found relief throughout high school, throughout college. So I wasn't really turning to alcohol, but what I will tell you is every time I drank, I blacked out. I couldn't stop. I didn't know how to stop. I didn't know when enough was enough, and I just thought everyone was doing it. Like, I had friends in high school who we'd be getting ready to go out, and they were like, we're blacking out tonight. So I just thought blacking out was like the cool thing to do. And I was like, hell yeah, I black out all the time. Like, let's go. So I was just always drinking to excess. I was falling down basement stairs at people's house parties. I was never remembering how I got back to my friend's house. I was lying all the time to my mom. I was sneaking out. I climbed out of my basement window to go to a party one time. I was just doing whatever I could to fit in because, again, I was very insecure. And so I could party because I thought that's what people did. So I just kind of figured I'd grow out of the blacking out. I just figured, okay, I'm a kid. And once you're an adult, you start understanding your limits and you don't go to the extreme every time you drink. That gets me into college. I was not a good student for actually the first couple years of high school. And I really started pulling my weight my junior and senior year so I could go to college because I was literally at risk to not being able to go. And then I got into college down here, actually, Manhattan College in Riverdale. And that was a party school. I mean, what college isn't, though? And I just started hanging out with people that like to do the same things I was doing. That's where I started experimenting with party drugs and the ability to take something and not be as drunk and be able to last all night. And that was eye-opening to me. I was like, this is so cool. And I still wasn't aware of how excessively I was drinking because I was just hanging out with people that were doing the same things as me, some people even more so than me. And I would look at them and be like, well, that's not me. I'm not doing that. I still get all A's. I'm still going to the library. I'm functioning, but I do know how to have a good time. I just thought I was someone that knew how to have a good time, knew when to start the party and end the party. But the thing is, I never knew when to end the party. The moment I started drinking, I was always going to be the last person staying out. There's this one story I tell all the time. I was in a drug and alcohol class in college. It was an elective. And I was like, oh, my dad's an alcoholic. Like, this is going to be so easy. And everyone told me it was so easy. Like, you just have to watch a couple movies. And it was a 3-hour night class. So it was once a week and it was on Wednesdays. And I would go to that class with a tumbler full of wine to pregame for meeting my friends after. I'm in a drug and alcohol class just learning about all the dangers of drugs and alcohol. And I'm sitting there drinking in the back. It's just, for me, I'm like, what a foreshadowing moment. I just never would have thought that my life would turn into what I was learning about in that class as I was drinking wine secretively. Like, the whole entire scene is just, I can't even make it up. So in college, I still thought I had my shit together. And once you hear what I actually ended up doing with my drinking as my alcoholism progressed, I was pretty tame in college. I will say that. But I graduated and I stayed down here in New York, and I wasn't drinking every day. I was still drinking just like on the weekends. Maybe I'd go to some work happy hours, but I realized I'm not able to kind of keep it together as much as I thought I'd be able to. It wasn't, I was still blacking out, and I was still having anxiety getting ready to go out. And that was something that I was like, wow, I thought maybe I'd grow out of this, but I didn't seem to be growing out of it. And I just put it in the back of my head because I didn't really want to think about it. And then my roommate and I started watching the show Scandal on ABC.
I think I remember that one.
Yeah, it's like this high power like fixer down in DC. I think it's Kerry Washington. She's gorgeous. She has like the most amazing clothes. She kicks ass all day and then comes home at night and has the biggest glass of red wine you'll ever see in these goblet glasses. And we were like, okay, we need to start drinking wine every night after work. Like, this is so chic.
I get messages all the time from people saying they don't know where to start in their recovery, that they feel lost. I've been there before. That's why I've teamed up with Banyan Treatment Centers. They help people find their light again. It's not about shame or labels. It's about getting your life back. Look, guys, I don't partner with just anybody. I truly believe in the brand and the work they're doing. Banyan is compassionate people who actually care about helping you heal. So if that's where you are right now, reach out. Call the number in my description or send me a message, and I'll personally make sure you get connected to the right people. You're not alone, and this could be the moment your life starts to change.
So we started getting the big, like not even just like like the 750 milliliters. I think that's what they're called. That's what we started getting on Monday. We'd probably finish it by maybe Wednesday. So we were both drinking a lot. And I'm not putting this on her. I think she's probably fine. But I was looking forward to that now every night after work. I could not wait to come home and drink in my bed and watch Scandal and The Bachelor and all these shows where drinking is just seen as so normal. And that was when the everyday or every night drinking started to really creep up on me. And I found that if we didn't have any wine left, or if I got home late and I would just get irritable. Like I'd be like, well, now I have to go out and get a bottle of wine. Now I have to be the one to supply the wine. Like it started controlling my moods a little bit. And I was like, what is going on? And so I ended up moving out of that apartment and moving into my own apartment.
This is after college?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's
I graduated and we stayed in the Bronx actually. So now I'm 22 and I live in Astoria in Queens. And
fun.
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And to be young in Astoria, and that was kind of when Astoria was just kind of getting on the map a little bit. I mean, I don't know, but I had never heard of it being in college in the Bronx. And I was like, this place looks great. They had so many delicious food places, so many great bars for brunch. Brunch was huge at this time.
Very diverse area too.
Yeah.
A lot of young people up and coming. It's still like that now, by the way.
I miss it. That's where I mean, there's a lot of stories I'll get into, but it felt being in then I lived in Manhattan that I'll get to, but being in Astoria kind of just felt like you were in your own little, like it's not a suburb by any means, but it kind of feels that way. It's like quiet. So I really appreciated it. And let
me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your father's alcoholism and being around that when you were growing up, like kind of it sort of made you feel as though what you were doing during your college years and the years right after college more acceptable because it was kind of normal to you, or not really?
So that's a really good question. So I didn't really see my dad's drinking. I wasn't aware of because I was so young, like 3 or 4 years old when my dad was still living in my house. I just remember the feelings. Like and I should have mentioned this, I was a very fearful child. My house was not obviously, but it was very tumultuous. My mom was a nervous wreck all the time, not knowing if my dad was going to come home. I will say my sister kind of got the brunt of my dad's alcoholism, being exposed to him just being wasted at birthday parties of hers. But I'm 4 years younger, so I don't remember that. I just remember the fear. And the walking on eggshells and the trying to fix. I'm a fixer now, even to this day. It's something I'm working on because I can't fix people, but I would see that there was chaos in the home. And as a 4-year-old, I'm trying to fix it, which is insane when you think back on it. I feel so bad for 4-year-old me thinking I even could, but even having to experience that. There is one instance that my dad was this is like a crazy story, chasing my mom, sister, and I in a car. And I say chasing, he was following us. To me, it felt like a high-speed chase because I'm so young. I have no idea what's happening. My mom's throwing my sister and I in the car. Before we even leave, he's like begging my mom for gas money. And I'm hearing this as a child and I'm like, Mom, like just give him gas money. Like, come on. I'm probably like 5 or 6 at this point. And she's driving and I'm looking out the back window and I see him and I'm just sobbing because I'm like, what is going on? I just didn't understand.
Yeah.
So I think, I didn't realize my behavior in college and right after when I was going to these happy hours and feeling irritable because I couldn't drink or didn't have wine readily available the moment I got home. I didn't know what that was the start of. I didn't realize that was alcoholism. I truly thought for a really long time that my drinking was normal and that I was just surrounding myself with people who didn't like to drink as much as I did. So I didn't think it was normal because of my dad. I just thought it was normal because my mind's going in overtime trying to protect my drinking. And I think I also had that fear of being an alcoholic. And I didn't ever want to be one. And I never wanted to admit to it. So all of my behaviors, no matter how concerning, I didn't address it until it got absolutely dire and I had to, which was like a year and a half ago. But that is a good question. And I would just say, I don't think so. I think this was just me protecting myself and being a little bit oblivious to what alcoholic behavior was. I knew alcoholism, I knew it existed. I knew people were alcoholics, but I didn't know what they did that made them alcoholics. I just thought they couldn't drink. I didn't know what they were doing that led to that. I had gone to AA meetings with my dad as a kid, but nothing was registering to me. I was so little. They had snacks in the back. I mean, that was like the only thing that I was excited about. I was like, okay, we can get Oreos. And so I think, like I said, it's me trying to justify. It's me just thinking that I'm not hanging out with the right people, because in college I was hanging out with people that like to drink like I did. And I wanted to surround myself with people like that. So when I moved out into my own apartment, when I was in my early 20s, this was when I actually had started dating my ex-husband. We had met in college, but he was a senior when I was a freshman, and he graduated and I just did my own college thing. And then we just linked back up after I graduated. And I was living alone, and I was working at Major League Baseball at the time. So I was a financial analyst, and I had met a coworker there who liked to drink like I did, and I loved her. She was actually really great. I did really love her, but I loved her even more because any day of the week after work, she'd be like, let's go get wine down. We worked in Chelsea Market. That's where the offices were. There's wine bars all over the place. Yeah. So we would go down and just drink and drink and drink. And she didn't stop. Like I didn't stop. And I just thought this was like the greatest thing. Like now I'm in my early 20s and I've found my drinking buddy. So I would drink and then I'd go home. And then on my way home, I would stop at the liquor store because I couldn't not drink. I mean, again, this is me not acknowledging that I don't have an off switch. I just think, okay, a nightcap. You hear nightcap, you hear all these terms, and I'm like, yeah, now I'm just going to go home and relax after having basically a bottle of wine to myself when I'm at happy hour with my friend. It's like 2-for-1 bottles, and we each got a bottle. Now I'm going to go unwind and, get ready for bed. I needed to drink a glass of wine in my bed. I thought that was just what people did. And I woke up one morning and there was wine splattered all over my wall. And I was like, what happened here? I just don't even know what happened. So now this is the first time that I'm blacking out in my apartment by myself. And I'm, again, brushing this incident under the rug. Yes, of course, I went to happy hour before, and I did come home and have some extra glasses of wine, but this just got out of hand. Like I'm not going to be doing this.
It was a one-off.
Yeah. I mean, it's never going to happen again, obviously. And at this point too, I still have my eating disorder, so I'm not eating a lot. I saved a lot of my calories for alcohol because I knew alcohol was very caloric, and I didn't want to eat if, one, it's going to take the alcohol longer to hit me. I loved feeling the buzz of alcohol the moment I had a sip of it, and that worked best on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want the extra calories. And I found if I was full, I didn't really want to eat. I didn't really want to drink. Like it was a feeling. So I was like, oh, I want to drink, so I'm not going to eat to get full. So I'm just planning out all of this, these scenarios so I can drink and have it be effective and as effective as possible. So the first time I started lying, this kind of rolls into me lying about my drinking. My ex-husband was coming over for just dinner, and I think it was a Tuesday night, but the Monday night before, I had gotten a bottle of wine. I didn't go out to happy hour. I was just coming home from work, and I wanted to have a couple glasses of wine. And I did. I only had a couple glasses of wine. So here's an instance where I'm proving to myself that I can only have a couple glasses of wine. And I was getting ready to leave my apartment to go to work on Tuesday, knowing my ex-husband was going to be coming over later. And I saw the bottle of wine on my counter. And I was like, I don't really know if I want him knowing that I had a couple glasses of wine by myself last night. It was a Monday. I was alone. So I hide it. I put it under my kitchen sink. And I'm like, okay, well, great. That's that. He'll never know. And I leave and go to work. We come back to my apartment. We make dinner. He's cleaning up, and he is he's grabbing like cleaning spray from under my sink. And I don't even remember at this point that I put it there. And he's like, what's this? Like, and I was like, what? And I was like, Oh, yeah. I was like, that was on my counter, but I was cleaning up last night and I must have just put it under the sink to get it off the counter when I was wiping it down. And he was like, okay. And in that moment, I was like, you just lied so easily and like quickly. And even if you didn't believe it, like it just rolled right off your tongue. And I didn't have to lie about that because I really didn't do anything crazy with my drinking the night before. I just didn't want it to be questioned. I didn't want anyone questioning my drinking. And he just kind of looked at me, and I thought that was that. And I will tell you, he brought that back up to me like a couple months later. I thought he bought it and was like, oh yeah, she just put that under here. And he brought it back up to me because he started realizing my drinking was getting a little bit shady and sketchy. So around this time, me hiding my bottle of wine, I go to my ex-husband and I'm like, I want to seek out help for my eating disorder. And I go to recovery groups and I start that recovery process. And so now I don't have my outlet that I had with my eating disorder where I could find relief through that. And I know that alcohol is another great way for me to find relief, to quiet my mind, to forget that I don't like anything about myself, to just slip away into oblivion and to not think about the things that make me so uncomfortable being me. And this was around 23 years old. And I obviously eating disorders are very it's a touchy subject and it's difficult. They're complex. So I still deal with after effects, but I was no longer active in my eating disorder. But I'm turning to alcohol to relieve the feelings that I had of just being so uncomfortable with myself. I never truly was able to find a healthy way to deal with those feelings. And I think I hear that a lot with a lot of people in addiction. It's just trying to escape the being you and being with your thoughts. So now I'm drinking all the time. I am going out to happy hours. I am drinking at home. Of course, I'm drinking at home. I don't even hide my bottles anymore because I'm like, that was stupid. Now I can drink out in the open. I just was, I felt like I had to lie that one time. And we move in with each other then a year after that. So nothing really extraordinary happens in that year. I'm just going about my life drinking.
Is he ever questioning your drinking?
Yeah, his big thing was like, he liked to drink too. I will tell you that, but he could stop and I couldn't. And he's definitely questioning because I'm also going out to Long Island where his parents live on weekends because it's like when summer comes, we're going to the beach. And more nights than not, he's having to like bring me up to bed because I am just drinking so much wine. And he's just like, you have to like learn to chill. And my excuse for a lot of this before it became apparent I had a problem was, I didn't really eat anything today. It just went right to my head. That was what I loved, that excuse. And for a while he believed it and he'd be like, well, you just need to eat a little bit more. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Can't make any promises. So he definitely knew my behavior with drinking wasn't normal, but I think at the same time, I don't think he wanted to think it was a problem just as much as I didn't want to think it was a problem. Someone that you really love and care about. And I loved drinking. So like, I feel like I loved drinking more than anything. So I don't even like if someone's going to try to come in between me and my nightly bottle of wine or me having a train wine on the Long Island Railroad when I'm going out to Long Island, like that was my favorite thing to do. And he'd be like, oh, you smell like wine. And I'd be like, yep. Yeah, of course.
Everyone loves drinking on the Long Island Railroad. What the fuck is going on with that?
You would like my backpack that I have here, like I would like pick it up after being on the railroad for like 45 minutes. You could hear like all the mini like Sutter Home wine bottles like clinking against each other.
That's great.
I loved it because, and then everyone has their big like Pepsi and I'm like, this is like, so I would get like, I think I'd get 3 wines and then I'd get a couple extras and they'd put it in like a Pepsi or Coke, like at one of the pizza places. I don't even think it's there because they redid Penn Station. And it looked like you were drinking soda. I was like, this is great. I have wine up to the top and it looks like I'm just maybe having a Coke. I loved it. And that's the thing is that I loved that drinking kind of could happen anywhere in New York. Like you really didn't have to go far or get creative to drink. But I did. I still did. I was crafty. But we move in with each other. And when I'm in Astoria, I've stayed in the same like block radius. So I have a liquor store that I've been going to since I've lived in Astoria, which is great. And he actually sat me down when we moved into our new apartment. And he was like, I just get really worried that there's a liquor store right down in the corner there. And I was like, come on, I've lived here for years and the same liquor store has been there. He's like, yeah, I know, but I just, I just don't want you going there all the time. And I travel at this point, he was traveling during the week for work. He had to go down to Florida a lot. So he was gone Monday through Thursday, came back Thursday night and was here for the weekends. So for me, I'm like, this fucking rocks. Like, this is so great. Like, I get to drink how I want during the week. And I mostly was passed out every Thursday. He came home, but I would try to like really keep it together to be like, see, I can handle it when you're gone. So he was really concerned when we first moved in with each other and he was traveling. And he was, I think when we weren't living together, he was out on Long Island. There's a distance there and there was a separation. So he didn't really see me all the time in terms of like how I was after like several glasses of wine or just drinking by myself. And I think now that we're living together, he's more up like face to face with it. And I'm sure it didn't make him feel good. And this is something that I struggle with because I don't know what it's like to deal with someone with addiction. I have no idea. I was so young when my dad was dealing with it. I know the feelings that I had as a child, but as an adult, I have no clue. So I have no idea what I put not only my ex-husband through, but like my family through. I don't know the feelings that he had coming home from work at night, not knowing whether or not I was going to be blackout. So it's easy for me to be like, chill out, like, come on, I'm fine. Yes, of course, sometimes they take it a little bit too far. So I didn't know what his fears actually felt like in those moments. And I just dismissed them because I felt threatened and I almost just felt insulted Like, why are you questioning my drinking? So I continued to drink again, like nothing really extraordinary happens other than me just drinking. And then COVID happens. And that is when my drinking took a turn for the worse. That's when shit just started. Like I couldn't stop it at this point. COVID opened up a completely new way of drinking for me. I was blacking out on Zoom happy hours with my friends on random nights of the week, drinking all the time because no one knew what the hell was happening. And it just seemed like everyone was doing it. To-go drinks everywhere. We were getting to-go drinks to go grocery shopping. And I was like, this is I know COVID was really bad, but I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like literally for my drinking, it opened up. Like I didn't have to get creative or crafty. Like now I can just go to the grocery store and get a to-go drink and walk around the grocery store. That's awesome. So we did that for 2 weeks and I loved it. My ex-husband was doing it with me, so I didn't feel like I had to lie. It just felt like this like beautiful like new way of life had just unraveled for me, and we can just drink whenever we want and everyone's doing it. But eventually everyone stopped, and my job at that point was in pharmaceutical sales. So I could not go into offices. I really had to work from home, but couldn't really work from home because my occupation was talking to doctors and they were very busy during COVID, obviously. So I'm just sitting around doing nothing. And he starts working again once they kind of figure, okay, you're going to work from home. And I obviously know in the back of my head, okay, well, everywhere's still doing to-go drinks. So I can go run an errand. I can go for a run and then stop after my run somewhere to get a to-go drink and walk home and just dispose of it before I get home. My wheels are turning in my head about all the different ways I can start drinking now. And that's what I started doing. I'd be going on every errand. I'd go for a run, like I said. Like, so that's me being active. Obviously, it looks like I'm being healthy. All right, I'll be back later. I'm going for a run. I'd stop at this restaurant like right after my run loop, and they had to-go drinks, and I'd get two, and then I walk home with both of them, throw them away, and the downstairs trash in my apartment building, and go up. I'm going to get my nails done all the time. I separate my fingers and my toes. So I go 1 week to get my fingers done, 1 week to get my toes done so I can be out more. And I'm getting drinks to go and do this. I'm going for walks and just getting to-go drinks. I couldn't stop once I realized that is something I could be doing. And then places stopped doing to-go drinks, but I wasn't done drinking whenever I wanted. So that's when I started going to the liquor store and just getting little nips. People never know what I mean when I say nips, but like the airplane shooters. And I would just shove them in my purse. I'd still go get my nails done. I'd go to the bathroom, down them. I'd be in the aisles of the grocery store, opening them up and downing them. So I am just drinking now any chance I get. And again, at this point, I don't think I have a problem. And I am still just thinking that my ex-husband is like, now I'm starting to think he's controlling. Now he's just wanting to control me all the time. He doesn't like that I drink as much as I do. If he just accepted my drinking and my way of drinking, I wouldn't have to hide. I wouldn't have to lie so much. I just want to live a life that I feel authentic living. And that's being able to drink whenever I want. And if I was able to drink at home in the open without someone judging me or saying, really, on a Tuesday, I wouldn't be going all these places to be able to go sneak drinks. I just wouldn't be doing that. So that's just me justifying my behavior in my head. And I started hiding bottles all over my apartment. My apartment's like this big. And so there's only so many places you can hide them. And he starts finding them. I came back from a weekend trip. My parents are in Boston. I came back and bottles were lined up all on my island counter. And my this is what I said to him. What were you doing going through my shit? Like, that is not like, oh shit, I'm caught. I was so defensive. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what were you doing in my drawers? Because I knew all these were in drawers. They were under my side of the bed. I'm like, why'd you even why did you lift up the mattress? And I'm just like, you're a weirdo. That's what I'm telling him. I'm gaslighting him to like the moon. I'm like, you're a weirdo. You have a problem. You shouldn't have been going through my stuff. I don't even understand why you did. And he's just sitting there. He's like, what?
I just want to let you know, I'm laughing because I've done the same thing. I'm not laughing at you.
No, I know.
I'm laughing with you because I've done the same exact thing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And to me, it was always trying to protect my drinking. I just never wanted to, because if I sat there and I was like, ugh, this looks like a problem, that means I'm admitting to him and to myself that I should probably stop drinking. And I was not ready to stop drinking. So I'm sitting there and I'm acting like he's so crazy. And after that started happening, I just started throwing all of my bottles in different floors in my apartment building. They're trash bins. So I would leave we only had 2 apartments per floor. So I could run up the stairs, put it in my upstairs apartment, neighbors. And then he started going through the trash. And that's when I really was like, you're gross. Like, stop it. And then he's like, why was this? I was a Casamigos drinker. So like little, big, medium, any size Casamigos. And he's like, I found this in like the 4th floor's trash. And I was like, other people drink Casamigos. Like, you're insane. Knowing damn well that I had just put a bottle in the in the 4th floor trash. So he's now catching on, and it's not boding well with me. So I go back to work. I get a new job actually in COVID. So I'm no longer in pharmaceutical sales. I go into tech sales. We start going into the office. I will speed this up a little bit to get to like the good parts, but we start going into the office, and my office is right by Penn Station. And I am exposed to this fancy, like luxurious tech salesman lifestyle that I had no idea existed. It's people my age. They are in their like late 20s, early 30s. They're like dressed in these like amazing suits. They go out to steak dinners on the company dime, and they're going out in like the West Village and all around Manhattan any and every day of the week. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is exactly where I need to be. So I start going into the office every day. It's not mandatory, but I just love being around these people. We have a bar in our lobby that's also super fancy. So I thought me drinking kind of in a luxurious way just meant, okay, you just like, you have good taste. Like, you're not an alcoholic. So I'm ordering old fashions, dirty martinis, and these bars. Then we're going out to steak dinners with my coworkers, and we're ordering expensive bottles of wine. And I'm showing up at home wasted. And I start resenting my husband because he's just like any normal husband probably would do. Like, what are you doing coming home on a Tuesday night at 10:30 drunk out of your mind? Like, where were you? And so I realized then that I couldn't be married anymore. I was like, this is not going to work out for me because, and again, I'm spinning the truth. I'm telling my family, he's so controlling. I got to get out of this relationship. I mean, he's insecure. It's just, I'm just saying whatever I need to make my family be like, I mean, that doesn't sound anything like him, but like, I guess, yeah, if you're unhappy, go for it. Not go for it. Obviously, my family wasn't like, yeah, get divorced. But I mean, they were like, if it's going to make you happy, like, I guess you have to do what's going to make you happy.
And they don't know the real reason why. Yeah. My
mom will still say to this day, she watches my TikToks and she's like, I didn't know that you were hiding all this drinking from your ex, like my ex. And I was like, yeah, I know you didn't because I did whatever I could to make you not know. And my ex-husband would not tell my parents because he knew that would just piss me off. Yeah. So he protected me in a sense, which, he had to do what he had to do for himself. So after a steak dinner one night, I come home, or in my Uber home, actually, I rent an Airbnb in Manhattan for a month, the month of January. And so I'm doing this right around the holidays. This is beginning of December. And I get home and I'm like, I'm moving out. And he's just like, what? And I'm like, yep, I don't want to be married anymore. I want freedom. I feel like you're controlling me. You are always wondering where I am. Just like, yeah, of course he is. But I couldn't It didn't make sense to me. And I'm experiencing this life of going out and not being tied down to anyone. And I'm like, this is what I missed all throughout my 20s, because I was in a serious relationship from the moment I got out of college to now, and I'm 30 years old. And so I just didn't, so again, I'm justifying. I'm like, I just need a couple years of going out in New York, get it out of my system. I just need it out of my system. It's just all pent up, and I definitely don't have a problem. It's just me needing to live life a little bit. So I move out. That divorce was heartbreaking for him. And for me, but I didn't experience the heartbreak until after I got sober, because I drank through it all. I think back, yesterday would have been my 6-year wedding anniversary. And it's just, the way that I behaved when I was drunk was not even when I was drunk, when I was drinking, when I was an active alcoholic, I didn't have to be drunk. It was just my priorities weren't there. I was so selfish. I didn't care about anyone else. And I didn't realize that until things had gotten really bad. So I am convincing myself that he's the problem. Like I truly am. Of
course.
And I leave, and I can hold it together for the first couple of months when I'm on my own. And so then again, I was right. He was the problem. It wasn't me needing to drink all the time. I'm drinking normally. I was just hiding it from him and being deceitful from him. And that slowly stopped. And then I started going out more. I think I tried to convince myself, to be honest with you, the first couple of months that I moved out. Because let me tell you, I was scared. I was scared to be on my own in Manhattan. I had moved out of Astoria. Now I'm in Manhattan. I was in Chelsea for 2 months. Then I moved to the West Village. And I didn't have like someone to protect me anymore, which I viewed him as a protector, even though I felt like he was controlling. So I was on my best behavior for a while, and then the spring came, and everyone's outside drinking. That's just when the city opens up. And that is when things took such a turn for the worse, but it was a slow ascent. So I had a lot of fun in the summer. I was doing, can I say?
You can say anything.
Okay. I was doing cocaine. And so now I'm getting introduced to cocaine for the first time since college. And I had done it a couple times, throughout my 20s, but I didn't have like friends that were doing it every time they drank. And I'm like, this is great. Now I can stay up. Now I can drink as much as I want. And I'm not falling down. I can keep it together. Obviously, I look super fucked up, and I'm acting super fucked up from people like on the outside looking in, but I'm with people that are doing it. So I'm not really sticking out like a sore thumb. And I'm having a blast all summer. And then the fall comes around. And that's when I started hitting like every rock bottom you could ever hit.
What does that look like for you?
So the first rock bottom moment that I had was in early October. This is
what year is this?
This is 2023. This is when I'm starting to come to terms with the fact that I threw my life away, that I threw a marriage away, that I hurt someone I cared about. Not even hurt him. I hurt his family. I hurt my family. I have a nephew. My niece was really young, but a nephew who adored my ex-husband. They loved each other. And I loved his parents. And so this is all kind of coming crashing down on me. So I don't know. So now I'm just drinking all the time, just around. I don't think I'm around the clock this time, but as much as I can be without waking up in the morning and drinking yet. So I was going to a friend's wedding in Newport, and my ex-husband was supposed to be coming to this wedding with me. And it was me, my 2 girlfriends from middle school, and their husband. So now I'm the 5th wheel, and I was never supposed to be the 5th wheel. I was supposed to have my husband there. So I wake up and I have to go to my friend's apartment, and I was like, fuck it. Like, it's a wedding weekend. I'm going to take a couple shots of the tequila that I have left over. So first things first, I had gone out the night before. So I'm waking up still feeling a little bit drunk because I don't get home until 4 a.m. now. And I get to their apartment. I think I'm fine because I also have a little bit of Coke left over. So, I mean, if I'm drinking, I do a couple of lines, like I'm basically sober. Like that's what I thought. And I wish, but I also don't wish I could see what other people saw when I thought I was fine, because, oh man, like there's no way I was fine. And no one says anything to me. So I seem and feel fine. We're in the car driving to Newport. I still have my little bottle of Casamigos with me, and I'm like sneaking. I'm literally leaning down so it looks like I'm like getting something in my bag and like downing tequila in the backseat of the car. It's like 11 a.m. Also doing little bumps on the way there, like really going all out for this wedding. And I don't remember getting, so this is a Friday night. So we get there for like the welcome dinner. I don't remember really getting there. It's kind of a blur, but still, no one says anything to me Friday night. I have a great time at the welcome dinner. I'm sure I was ridiculous, but whatever. The next morning, I wake up. It's Saturday. It's the day of the wedding. None of us are in the wedding, so we're just walking around Newport. And we had gotten Drizzly the night before to Casamigos. My friend also liked Casamigos. And they were all getting ready in their respective rooms. And I walk out, and I had zero intention of drinking the tequila, but I walk out into the kitchen and I see it there on the counter. And I'm feeling like shit because I was really going hard the day before. And it's like a wedding weekend. Like, okay, what's a couple chugs of this tequila gonna do? Well, it did a lot, because it basically, again, I didn't give my body a chance to get all this alcohol out of my system. So I am immediately kind of already tipsy again. We walk into town. I leave my friends. I don't know how or why. I go to a restaurant and drink. I'm drinking at this bar. And then I emerge, and my friends were like, "Where did you go?" And I was like, "Oh, I was just shopping." And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to the Airbnb. I'm just going to take a nap, knowing damn well in my head, I know there's tequila back there and I want to keep drinking and I don't want to be around people. And so I go back and I drink a significant amount of the tequila, and I am passed out when they get back to get ready for the wedding. And I don't remember. There's like blurs, like, you know how when you like you like have these like dramatic flashbacks of like moments. I just remember my friend saying to me, "Sid, like you can't come to this wedding. Like you can't. Like why don't you just sleep?" And then I remember waking up to pounding on the door, and it's my mom. My mom drove from where we live up north of Boston 2.5 hours to Newport in the middle of the night to come get me. And she was like, I opened the door. I'm like, "What are you doing here?" She's like, "Get your shit. Like, get your shit. You're coming back to Massachusetts. You're not going back to New York. Like, you need to come home." And I was like, oh no, like shit. So I get into the car. That was a miserable car ride. No one reprimanded me or anything, but I'm just sitting there. And I was immediately sobered up from this. And I get home to my parents, and I'm there for a couple days, and I'm feeling remorseful. I apologize to my friends. I apologize to my other friend whose wedding I didn't even show up at. And I am like, I'm never drinking again. Like like I can't, like this is it. I'm done. But after a couple days, I have that built-in forgetter. It's like one of my favorite terms. I couldn't wait to get back to New York and start drinking again, because now I'm getting uncomfortable thinking about what I did. I don't want to deal with it. And the only thing I know how to do when I get uncomfortable is to drink those feelings away. And I wanted to go hang out with my other friends, my work friends, who didn't know any of that happened. So I can go and just pretend, because I'm not around anyone that was there, that I had a great wedding, or I had a great weekend at this wedding. And I just went home for a couple days. And I go back, and my mom comes 2 weeks later to New York for work. And she's like, "Okay, you can stay at my hotel and we'll just go out to dinner." And I show up wasted to pick her up at Penn Station, because I went to happy hour after work with my coworkers, had 3 old fashions, and probably like in an hour. And then I went to the Mexican place next to my office and took 2 shots of tequila, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to drink that night, because my mom's there and doesn't think I'm drinking because of what happened at this wedding she had to pick me up from. I meet her in Penn Station. She just starts sobbing. The moment she sees me, she hears me talk. She's just like, what? Like, what is it? Like, what is it going to take for you to realize you have a problem? And I was just like, you know what? Have a great weekend. I'm going home. And I went back, I left her crying in Penn Station and went back to my apartment and drank. And that was how I dealt with things that happened to me. I didn't care about anyone other than myself. And I feel so sad. Like, when I think about how callous I was and just like, well, F you, I'm not gonna like, who do you think you are coming into my city to visit? Like, of course I'm going to go out to happy hour with my coworkers. You're just dramatic. You need to get over it. I'm fine. And like I said earlier, I don't know what they saw when they were dealing with me. I'm convincing myself I'm okay. And so I stopped going home and I stopped really answering my family's calls or messages because they were just, at this point, annoying me. They were getting in the way. I felt like if I could just live my life separately from them without them asking me questions like what I'm doing, that was better for me. And then my dad starts calling me because he's in recovery. And anyone that's in recovery sees especially their daughter struggling. And I start answering his calls when I'm like blackout alone in my apartment. And nothing is registering, but he keeps calling me every night and I'm drunk and, you know, eventually I'll like get to that. Then it starts resonating with me. But so at this point, my mom had come. I'm isolating myself from my family. I'm starting to isolate myself from my friends in New York. I will go out and meet them, but I'm pre-gaming hard beforehand, like to the point where I'm already almost blackout. I meet them. I pretend to them that I've already been out with a different friend group. And that's why I'm so drunk. And then I'm only there for a little bit of time because I just want to go back to my apartment and drink how I want to drink. And that is to just sit on my couch and drink alone. And I'd put on Spotify and like sing. And I thought that was just like fun and like such a vibe. And this was starting to become a routine. And then I had friends just being like, hey, I'm just going to come over and hang out. And I'd be like, no, like I'm out. Like, I don't really want anyone to come over. I stopped sharing my location with a lot of my friends because I don't want them to know I'm just actually at home drinking, especially if they call me and I sound funny. So I'm basically just under a rock at this point. And then I start drinking in the morning. Because I feel so isolated. I just don't feel like myself. I'm just like, well, what? I don't fucking care now. Like, I don't care if I'm drinking in the morning. I'm lowering the bar so much for myself. Like, drinking by myself, okay, then maybe we'll think you have a problem. Blacking out every single night of the week, not being able to not drink on Mondays and Tuesdays. Now I'm hitting like the point where I was like, all right, if you start drinking in the morning, like then there's an issue. And I start doing it and I don't care. I woke up one morning, I saw a little nip that was left untouched the night before. I don't know how that happened, but for me, it was like a moment of, oh, this was happened for a reason. Now you're supposed to drink it in the morning. I was getting ready to leave for work. I hated myself. I could barely look at myself in the mirror. And I contemplated taking that drink before I left my apartment. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, I'm going to. I don't feel good. I hate myself. And I took that drink and I left and I was like, oh my God, like, I don't even feel drunk. I just feel like better.
Normal.
Yeah. Like, okay, like, let's go. Like, time for work. And the thing is, though, is that I wanted like 10 more of them on my commute to work at 8:30 in the morning. And so then I'm leaving my office to go into, because it's above Penn Station, go into the liquor stores in Penn Station and get like a couple more nips so I can drink them in the bathroom throughout the day. So now I am drinking all day, even at work. And then I'm like, okay, if I want to sustain this way of drinking, which should not have been my thought process, it should have been like, we should probably stop doing this. I was like, I'm going to stop going into the office so much because it wasn't mandatory. We could work from home. And so I took advantage of that because once I got exposed to drinking in the morning, I couldn't, it's not that I was sitting there and being like, wow, this is such a way to live. This is awesome. Like, I'm living the life. I was an alcoholic and I couldn't stop. once I realized that was something I could do. And I started drinking around the clock. I was getting Drizzly delivered multiple times a day. I'm waking up from blackouts at like 2 p.m. I'm waking up from blackouts at like 7 p.m., not knowing if it's 7 in the morning or 7 at night. I don't know who I've talked to. Have I jumped on any work calls? Have I texted anyone? Have I posted anything on Instagram? And this is in the middle of the week. I have no idea what's going on. And this was probably in February of 2023. And then this to me, like everything happens for a reason. My landlord, I lived in a co-op in the West Village, and she was like, rent's actually going to go up $600 a month. And we want you to stay, but just want to let you know. And I was like, I can barely afford my rent as it is right now. So I had to leave. And my mom loved that. She's like, great, you're coming home. And I was like, Mom, I can't, like, I have work here. Like, I can't just come home. And she was like, no, I don't care. You can come home for the spring and then we can figure out what you're going to do, but you can't be in New York City anymore. And so I'm realizing this, and I'm kind of just drinking as much as I want then at that point, because I don't even care. Like, I just don't care. And the last day, I mean, and like, this is such a blur for me. Like, I don't even know what was happening these weeks and this month that I was drinking around the clock. I did actually miss another story where my sister came to down to New York in January of 2023 for a work trip. And I went to meet her at dinner, and I was blackout when I met her at dinner on Friday night. She came back to my apartment. I didn't bring my key. So I had to go to Tribeca and get my landlord's key, left my sister in my apartment lobby. I had to come back. It was such a shit show. The next morning she texted me and she was like, I really like being with you and I love you so much, but I can't if you're gonna be drinking like this. Like, I'm not gonna be able to spend any time with you. And I was like, okay, got it. And so I didn't drink that night. I went back to her hotel. We had like a good night. Then the next night she had a work meeting or a work dinner. And I was like, okay, like she was saying like Times Square. It was right above the Dos Caminos. And I was like, tequila is my favorite. Like, I am right above a Mexican restaurant. Like, I got to get down there for a reposado or something. Like, that won't hurt. So I go down there, I have a drink, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. And I think that when I'm done with that drink, and I pay my tab and I walk into the hotel, it's the W Hotel right there. And I had to go up one flight, and then there's the lobby, and then her rooms on the elevators in the lobby. And I see the lobby bar, and I'm like, I can't walk by the lobby bar. So I sit at the lobby bar and I order God knows how many tequilas. And then by the time she comes home, I'm passed out. I'm drunk. And it happens again. Like, that's the thing, is that it kept happening. And I kept telling myself it wasn't going to happen. And I thought for sure, like, I would have passed a lie detector test when I tell you that it was not going to happen again. I don't want it to happen again. I think a lot of my drinking was me trying to prove that I could drink normally, that this time's going to be different, because I couldn't lose drinking.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. It's scary because
spent 10 years trying to do that. It's
a crutch. And when you have that crutch for such a long time, to live a life without it, like, how do you even do it? How do you even like begin to think? Like, I couldn't. So in March, I came to Massachusetts. I was sober for 2 weeks. Then we went on a family vacation to St. Thomas. I knew I was going to drink there. I knew it. I've never been to St. Thomas and not drank. That's just where we've gone on vacations. And I didn't, and I'm so new in sobriety, right? 2 weeks. Yeah. But I was going to AA at this point. My dad had made me go, and I was going, but I was like, no, like, it's not going to be, like, maybe I'll figure it out. So I am drinking, like, I go into the market in the hotel, there's little nips of vodka, and I'm like, okay, perfect. Like, now I can like keep, like, and this is what I say, I was like, I can have like a steady buzz this entire trip. I know my limits. I've been going to AA for 2 weeks now. Like, I know what I can and cannot drink. And I didn't keep a steady buzz the entire time. I blacked out immediately and I made a scene and I lost my phone. I lost like my beach cover up. I acted like I was like a 16-year-old drunk girl and I'm 31 years old on vacation with her parents. And I'm losing all my shit and I'm blacking out. And so I go home and I'm like, okay, I can't drink anymore. And I'm sober again for 2 weeks. And then I had my last rock bottom before I got sober. This was in April of 2024. I'd gone down to New York I had to go down for work. So I take the train down and I knew I was going to drink at this happy hour after work because I thought, okay, I know now. Like I know what happened in St. Thomas and I just can't do that again. I know I can only have 2 glasses of wine. So I go down to my work happy hour. I do only have 2 glasses of wine. And then I'm going down to Philly to see this guy that I was seeing actually my entire last year of drinking. And I'm like, okay, well, like I can't have more than 2 glasses of wine. He'll know. And I was also going back to Philly with a coworker that lived there. So even if I wanted to stop at the liquor store in Penn Station, like I couldn't. So I'm acting like it was all self-will on my part, but really I just had roadblocks that were preventing me from drinking more. And so I get down to Philly, I wake up the next morning and I was a little bit guilty, but I was like, no, but you did it. You only had 2 glasses of wine. That's what we've been trying to do this entire time. For the past 10 years, we've been trying to only have 2. And so I had to go back up to New York because I was going up to Albany for an event at my sister's with my niece and my nephew. So I get back on the train to go to New York. And I get into Penn Station. I'm like, all right, well, I know the drill. Just 2 glasses of wine, and then I'm fine, and I'll get on my train. So I sit at the bar in Penn Station. I have 2 glasses of wine. Then I'm like, okay, let me just go to the liquor store and get 3 little Casamigos for my trip. I'm cutting myself off at 3. Like, that's all I'm gonna get. That's all I got. I get on the train, and it is a train that goes to Chicago. So it has a bar cart on it, and so I didn't anticipate that I'd basically have alcohol at my disposal after having 3 shots of Casamigos and 2 glasses of wine. And I went back and forth to the beer cart. I don't know how many times I blacked out on this train. I had to get helped off the train by the conductor. My phone was left on the train and went all the way like to Vermont, like Bennington, Vermont. I had to go and get it the next day. My stepmom and my little sister had to come to the train station to get me. I don't know how like Amtrak got a hold of them because I didn't have my phone. I don't remember anything. All I remember is waking up the next day at my sister's house. And I just knew that was something really bad happened and that like I couldn't do it. And so my mom drove from this is just, and then again, it's just like becoming a family affair. And I'm like, what the fuck, Sydney? You're 31 years old. You're an adult and you're acting like a child. And so now my mom comes and she sits me down and she says, you know, your niece and nephew saw you like that last night. And I don't even know what they saw. Like, I don't know. Saw me like what? And she's like, you're not going to be able to come here and see them. You're not going to be able to have a relationship with them if you don't get your shit together. So I sat there and I started Googling rehabs and I started trying to figure out how I could get sick or like medical leave from work because I couldn't do that anymore to myself or to my family. But I think at that point it was, I can't do this to my family. I can't lose my family because if I don't have my family, I don't have anything. And obviously I can't be left on my own because I'm going to kill myself. I'm surprised I'm even alive from all the drinking that I do and being alone and not knowing how to stop. And living in New York and getting into Ubers and walking home at like different, like it just blows my mind that I was able to wake up and made it to my apartment most nights. And so my mom and I drove back to Massachusetts, and that Saturday, because my sister was like, I don't want you guys staying here for the weekend. Like, she needs to leave. And that again was like heartbreaking to me. And so that Saturday night, I knew there was a meeting up in that town that I had moved to. And I went to this meeting and I froze my hand and I just told him everything that had happened the past month. that I had 2 weeks sober, and then I had relapse, and I just don't know what to do. And I just sobbed. And after that meeting, a woman came up to me and she just gave me her number. And she was like, all the time that you were able to get under your belt, those 4 collective weeks between each relapse, like they matter, and you learned a lot, and you just have to keep coming back. And so that's what I did. I leaned into AA. I get a lot of people asking me questions about how I got sober. I told myself, if you can't stay sober for 30 days, you're going to rehab. And the thing is with me is that like it was pride and stigma. I was like, I don't want to go to rehab. Like, I don't want people to know. Like, I don't want work to know. And I hate myself for thinking that way, but that's the whole thing. And that's a big reason why it took me a while to get sober, is because that last year of my drinking, I obviously was aware my drinking was not normal.
Yeah.
And it was consuming me. My first thought was going to what other people were going to think about me if I said that I had a problem with drinking. I didn't care about what it was doing to me or my family. At that point, when I started having those thoughts, it was, what are people going to think? And that was still a thought of mine when I decided to get sober. Like, I can't go to rehab. I can't do it. But I almost wish I did go to rehab just so I could have gotten like that extensive therapy. I know so many people that went to rehab, and it was just such an incredible experience, and they met such amazing people. But I was able to stay sober for those 30 days by going to AA, by identifying a higher power, and I'm not like fully in AA. I haven't done the steps, and I don't have a sponsor, but I've found outlets in other places, whether it be TikTok, just my local community, and just following what I know I need to do to be a better person. And that's to just, I find so much, and I don't really talk about this on my TikTok, but like I'm so spiritual. It's a huge part of my sobriety. I know I did a lot for myself, but I think surrendering was the biggest thing I could have done.
What's your date of sobriety?
April 19th of 2024.
Nice. That's amazing. I was telling you before, it took me 10 years to get 1 year sober. And I'd have months of, I'd have stints of 9 months, 10 months, 6 months. But my mind was just still fucked until I really like started following the program. So an amazing story, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of chaos, a lot of damage. I'm right there with you, sis. Yeah. It was a lot. But it takes what it takes. Some 100%. People's bottoms are like, they get blackout one time and they're like, I'm sober 10 years.
Jealous.
And I'm like,
I know. I'll hear people be like, no.
Fuck?
Like, they're like, no, I didn't even drink every day. I just like, it was like one night. I just like didn't remember the next morning. I'm like, you didn't almost die?
I know. It's a journey. It's a different journey for everybody. But I think what I want to just discuss the last, 5-10 minutes before we wrap up is kind of what your life has looked like what your life has kind of looked like in sobriety. Yeah. And we'll wrap up there.
This is the biggest, I think this is the most important thing, what my life has looked like in sobriety. When I first got sober, I thought people that were alcoholics lived every single day being fully aware that they were alcoholics and they weren't going to be able to drink anymore. And that is the furthest from the truth. And I didn't realize going into AA when these people are talking about how happy they were and they're living fulfilled lives. And I heard that and I was like, I want that. So that's why I stayed around. And that's exactly how I feel. I don't know what the future has in store for me, but being sober and trusting that I've gotten this far, and it's completely changed my outlook on life. I'm just so much more accepting of others. I'm accepting of just situations, of inconveniences, just having the perspective of where I was and where I am now. My dad always says to me, he's like, Sydney, is it life-threatening? And because I used to get so pissed and stressed about like the stupidest shit. And he'd always say that to me. And I'd be like, shut up. Like, it might not be life-threatening, but this is really pissing me off. And now I say that to myself and I'll say it to people. And I'm like, oh my God, people probably like want to like punch me in the face. But like, is it really life-threatening? So if it's not, like, okay. Like, I think just being able to live life, I've learned to, one, love myself, but I've also been reintroduced to myself. For so many years, I thought I was someone that didn't like adventure, that didn't like to take risks, that didn't really want to step outside of her comfort zone, who was just good doing run-of-the-mill stuff, not realizing that all of that was just attached to me being able to sit at home and drink. And now I'm doing things in my life that I never thought I would do. I'm taking job risks. I am traveling. I am meeting people that I never would have had the opportunity to meet outside of sobriety. I'm taking care of myself in just terms of my mind, going to therapy. It's just, and I don't have the anxiety too, that I thought that I just thought I had chronic anxiety, but I didn't realize that that was just from years of drinking. And now I wake up every morning and I'm actually excited for the day, no matter what's on the agenda. Like, I don't really get overwhelmed anymore because I'm just so grateful that I get to wake up sober and put my feet on the ground and know I didn't do anything crazy the night before. Like, that is such a good feeling.
Such an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
I know. I can definitely relate to that. And, what an incredible story you have. And I really appreciate you coming down from Boston today. I know it's not an easy trip, but I think your story is going to help a lot of people. I think it's going to help a lot of women. And I will attach Sid's TikTok and Instagram. We'll collab on some Instagram posts, but I'll attach her TikTok to this. You're amazing. Keep up the great work. Let's stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, ladies and gents, if you're looking for some advice or help, message Sid.
Please reach out. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.